What is going on, everybody? Welcome into another episode of Getting Buzzed. I'm your host, Howard Bender, and of course, with me again, my co-host extraordinaire, Ryan Hallam. What's up, Ryan? How's the week been? Well, since last we talked.
I mean, I'm pretty happy to be called extraordinaire. I mean, that's a very nice way to start the show. You know, it hasn't been too eventful of a week. Things have been getting back to normal, getting out and doing some things. I mean, I threw a no-hitter last week. This week, I don't know if you heard or saw.
How many innings did you throw?
I shut out I no-hit the Rangers, so I'm going to no-hit the Mariners next time.
But for how many innings, though?
Oh, seven innings. It was a
sorry, it doesn't count then.
What do you mean it doesn't count?
Dude, you know what? Like you're teeing me up right now. I wanted to make fun of your old school fantasy alarm polo shirt that you're rocking there right now, right, with the old logo. But I mean, if you want to just jump right in, like the water's warm. Here we go.
I didn't do anything, so I figured I'd start right with that. I was gonna say, hey, didn't you get a dog? But I went right with a no-hitter.
You know what? I got the official word today, and we're recording this on Thursday night. I got the official word that we are a full go after all with the new pup. So very excited about that, and you guys will meet the little guy over time. You can check out my social media at RotoBuzzGuy for a preview. His name is Jabu.
It's also, if you didn't see, National Rescue Dog Day, so on Twitter. So it's good timing on that. Good, bravo. I know that is one thing that we both share very, very passionately. So I was happy to see you brought home a new family member.
And yet you tried to poke the bear in the zoo and start me off with the no-hitters and the 7 innings. Because I'll tell you what, in all honesty, and we'll just get to in the news right now and forget the pleasantries, because that is something that's really kind of pissing me off. And I actually threw a penalty flag at that during the Fantasy Alarm show on SiriusXM with Jim Bowden. And yeah, you know what? Yeah, I need a I do, because this is really ESPN, all the outlets, they're like, yeah, 6 no-hitters thrown this season after Corey Kluber. And I'm like, no, you cannot tell me. If double headers this year are 7 innings, then Madison Bumgarner threw a complete game no-hitter. It wasn't his option, right? He didn't have a choice. These are the rules of baseball. And if baseball is going to set these rules up and say only double headers are, 7 innings, all double headers are 7 innings only, well, then, you know what? Then that's a complete game no-hitter for him. Because I'll tell you what,
this is exactly what I was hoping for. It's exactly what I was hoping for.
Come on, man! This is bullshit. And I don't mean to just throw the foul language into the world here, but it is. It's complete bullshit. Because listen, what happens if a guy throws a perfect game through 7 innings and it's a 0-0 tie, and then they throw that stupid ass runner at second base? Does he lose his perfect game? Does he?
I don't think so, because he didn't give up a walk or a hit to get the guy there. It's just the BS runner that they put there. But I don't know.
What happens if that runner? What happens if that runner steals third base?
You know what, dude? I have no idea. I think I understood the 7-inning no double headers last year, but with things pretty much being kind of normal this year, I don't understand why they kept it.
Oh, because the game is too long for people. Boo, boo, boo. We can't sit through 9-inning doubleheaders. Boo.
What happened? We did our whole lives. I don't understand why all of a sudden this year. I completely got it last year with all the restrictions and the COVID and the Cardinals and the Marlins and everything. And the Cardinals played 42 doubleheaders in a row. I got that. With this year, and I know we've had a couple of games here and there for COVID, but we knew coming into this year that, vaccines were around, things were better. We learned from last year, hopefully, and we knew this year wasn't going to be as bad. So why they kept that, they kept that and threw out the universal DH. I didn't understand. I thought they should have flip-flopped those 2 rules.
Oh, the universal DH, that should be in play. You should have 9-inning doubleheaders, but you decided 7. This is the problem with baseball. This is the problem with baseball is conflicted right now between the old school stodgy old farts with their old skin,
Loose
balls, gross, right? What's your plan? What's your 5-year plan? Don't die? Come on. Right? But so here you've got an old wrinkled ass Tony La Russa, right? Who's crapping on your mean Mercedes and talking about no respect for the game because he swung on a 3-0 pitch and he hit a home run. He didn't pimp the home run. He didn't do anything. He didn't take a slow trot or anything like that. He jacked the ball. He and Willians Astudillo actually know each other, right? They've got like friendly competition between each other. So if Astudillo's going to throw him that meatball, 43-mile-an-hour, whatever, I mean, like Jen Piacenti was like, I'll be nice and call it an ephus pitch, but I mean, even that was just like for Tony La Russa to sit there and not back up his player. Like, you want to just say that the guy missed the sign and that you were pissed that he missed the sign because you told him to take? Okay, fine. But you don't rail him for hitting a home run or swinging on a 3-0 pitch, and you certainly don't turn around and say the next day when the Twins throw it your mean Mercedes, right? You don't say, I thought they handled it properly. Like, that's just, to me, that's bullshit. So now you got old fart Tony La Russa, right, who's just a moron with that whole aspect, right? And then you've got these new rules for baseball with 7-inning double headers and stuff like that, but you can't call it a no-hitter because he didn't go the full 9 innings. The game is either evolving or it's not evolving, but it cannot stay the way it is right now because now it's just being pulled in too many different directions. Everything's contradicting everything else, and I'm sorry, but I'm ready now to mandate no managers over the age of 50. Like, I will take an ageist point of view and say that people 50 or older do not understand the younger generation, do not understand evolution of a game, and therefore are holding baseball back. It's the old fart beat writers. It's the old fart owners. It's old fart stupid commissioner of baseball, managers. I mean, it's ridiculous. And, dude, I'm beside myself. I'm absolutely beside myself.
I'd like to also add that people over 50 shouldn't be allowed to have online banking, ATM card, or use the self-checkout at the grocery store. But I completely agree.
Wait a minute. All right, I'm 50, and I can deal with online banking, and I have an ATM card. But screw you, Hallam, because I did have a problem at the self-checkout the other day. And I was like, can somebody please help me here? Oh, yes, sir, I can help you. Why is this thing not reading my card? Why is this not doing this? This is self-checkout. If I have to come and ask you, I'm not checking out by myself here. And she was like, oh, you didn't press that button, sir.
Probably something very simple, right?
Like, I'm very sorry.
Also, quick aside again before we go back. If you have more than 10 items, get your ass out of the self-checkout. I tweeted this the other day. I was there, we only had 4. I swear to God, everyone there did their shopping for the week, and they were at the self-checkout, and I wanted to kick them all in the ass because I had 2 friggin' things. Anyway, back to Tony La Russa. The thing that pissed me off the most about him, and I'm a Cardinals fan, God damn, I love Tony La Russa, brought my team through a lot of glory years. He went so far as to say that Mercedes should apologize for swinging at 3-0. So not only did he throw his own player under the bus, apologize? What? I don't understand why more people don't swing 3-0. It's meatball coming down the center. They don't want to walk you on 4 pitches. It's a friggin' strike every time. I don't understand why more people don't swing 3-0. And who cares if he's up? But you don't think Mercedes wants to pad his stats a little bit and get paid? God knows he's probably making $500,000 a year. He's breaking out. We want this. There's nobody else left on this team. For God's sakes, you should celebrate it. And I thought, again, I can't believe I'm saying Trevor Bauer is the voice of reason. But if you saw, he tweeted the next day, hey guys, if I'm up 3-0 or I'm down 3-0 to you, swing. If you hit a home run, good. When did Trevor Bauer become the voice of reason? Because he has been this whole time between the Tatis, putting his it's in his face, and now this. I agree with you. I'm not quite 50. I'm still, I guess I'm mid 40s now. But I love. Give me all the emotion. Give me the fun. I don't understand the purists and all that. I don't really like the 7-inning doubleheader. I don't like the guy at second base in extra innings, but the game's got to be a little fun. And I know we railed about this last week, and you did, about how they can't market themselves. It just seems like they just, like you said, they just kick themselves in the ass every chance they get. As soon as they start to do something good, they wreck it.
Yeah, you know what we're gonna do next week? I'll tell you what we're gonna do.
All right,
we're gonna go off of a comedian who I've seen live a number of times. Big fan of his work, Jeff Foxworthy. All right. If you do this, you're too old to be involved in baseball, and that's what we're gonna do. So you're too old. You might be a redneck. You might be too old for the major league game, and I think that's what we're gonna have to do next week. We're gonna put that together because listen, baseball is losing me. I'm as diehard a baseball guy as you could possibly get, and I'll watch over and over again. But they're losing me as a fan. They're losing my support. And, I don't want to say that it's just I'll do it because it's my job, but they're losing me. And if they're losing me, they're losing millions of people, and they're losing millions of possibilities here. And it's really upsetting. It's very upsetting. And now, you're looking at the injured list in baseball, and that's just, that's destroying lives and creating anxiety in people in the fantasy community. Listen, Mike Trout out for 6 to 8 weeks because of the calf strain. Just add it to the freaking list here, where it's like, today there was it was like Mike Moustakas went on the IL, and Logan Webb went on the IL, and Dillon Moore went on the IL, and like every single day you're getting more and more guys on the IL. That you lose a guy like Trout, that's catastrophic. You can recover from it. You definitely can recover from it. But you know what that's doing? This and the frustration with baseball. You know what this is doing to me, Ryan?
Agita.
Well, yeah, Ajita is definitely. I'm like about to have an aneurysm. I think. Like all of a sudden, I got like the pain in the eye. Like if I just start like, and like this eye starts getting a little milky, and maybe the side of my face starts to droop a little bit. I'm stroking out here because I'm so pissed about baseball that I'm seriously. I'm taking all the money that I'm making, with the wager alarm best bets that I'm doing, and I'm pouring it into best ball for football. Pouring it in. I've done more best ball drafts for the NFL right now, okay, here in mid-May, than I am in fantasy baseball leagues, and that I've ever done in like a full off season for NFL. Like, take my money, guys. Take my money. You're serving it up to the fans. Nobody else is following suit. I'm ready, man. I'm ready.
My baseball leagues are basically down to industry leagues. I think I do one league now outside of like Tout and Labor and FSGA. I just, and obviously pay attention for, Fantasy Alarm and everything we do there. But I'm with you. Like, and, every Sunday on waivers, TGFBI, I don't want to leave that out. Raz Slam, all that. But like every Sunday when I go to do waivers, it becomes a little more of a chore, and it's only once a week. Now, it's tough. They are there. I think they're losing a lot of people. And like you said, I think you missing something there. You got something.
There's a bug. There's a bug in my drink. He's drowning. He's drowning.
I did a best ball Tuesday night with guys from the Fantasy Football Hustle. It was great. And like the blood started pounding again. Like I'm ready for fantasy football. It's sad that it's May 20th, 21st, but I'm with you. NFL, like we always say, Fantasy Alarm is king, and it's just glomming. It's becoming more of the Roman Empire by the day. It's just glomming more fans and attention from all these other sports.
Have you ever heard Fensty sing the football song?
Thank God, no. But
ask Fensty to sing you the football song one day.
I will.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful.
We should have done that. We did live streams all season long. I can't believe that didn't come up.
Oh, maybe he did sing it and you just didn't realize that that's the football song.
Maybe.
Right? Have you heard football drives the bus, football makes the money, football.
Must have taken him all day to write that one.
Oh, dude, the lyrics are phenomenal. I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you. It's like it's like Lennon and McCartney just all wrapped up into one.
He's very creative, that Fenty.
He is. All right. Well, before I stroke out and this eye gets all milky and this side of my face starts to droop and I leave you guys in the hands of Ryan Hallam, let's talk about something fun. Let's talk about something happy. Let's talk about tonight's top 10 for getting buzzed. All right, Ryan. So again, you come through like a champ with the top 10 categories here. So tell everybody what it's going to be.
All right. So obviously the biggest story of the last year and a half has been this goddamn pandemic. Everybody's, sick and tired of. So this past week, damn pandemic. And since the CDC came out this week and said vaccinated people, and probably lying unvaccinated people, can ditch the mask outside and inside, we decided to come up with the top 10 best masked characters in TV, movies, pop culture, anything. So the top 10 best masked characters for this week.
All right, top 10 best masked characters here. We'll start off at number 10. This one's a favorite of mine. It's a favorite of Ryan's. Ryan couldn't remember the name. I got it this time from Billy Madison. That's right. Principal Anderson's alter ego, the Revolting Blob. No!
That was perfect. God, how did a guy get his principal degree when he was doing all of this wrestling? No, one time he left his leg on the... He was supposed to tap out and he didn't.
He's supposed to pinch me when he was running low on air. Yes, love him. So that's number 10. Number 9, this one was mine. You didn't have him on your original list as we were combining these. If you've ever seen The Watchmen, which is, I guess, Netflix, probably. Yeah, Netflix, Amazon Prime, whatever it is. I usually watch it for Regina King, Smoke Show. But Rorschach, who's got basically no face, the mask is just covering there, and it kind of ink blots around, basically. And you know what? They actually had, like, a mask that you could buy that would, like, be heat activated and kind of do a Rorschach thing. So Rorschach comes in at number 9 for us.
Number 8, we're going to go all the way back to Jim Carrey, one of his first movies, The Mask, and that's going to be Stanley Ipkiss. I don't know if everybody remembers this movie. It's actually Cameron Diaz's first movie also. When he put the mask on, he became that green, very horny character. That was actually one of his good early movie of his.
His co-host in that, Richard Jeni, his co-host, his co-star, Richard Jeni. I don't know if you've ever seen Richard Jeni's stand-up.
Comic strip live in the 80s, baby. I saw him.
So good. He does a bit about getting into a fight in the South. And then he compares getting into a fight in the South versus getting into a fight in the North. And it is beyond hysterical. I'll find it for you one day and see. I don't know if it's still up or available anywhere, but anybody who's seen that can tell you. Richard Jeni, God rest his soul. He's passed away.
Oh, did he? Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
I think he killed himself.
Really? Ugh. Comedians are so rough like that. Yeah, they think that it seems so funny, but I think they're just conflicted.
We have very sad lives and we make fun of it on stage. Believe me, dude, my family nightmares. I used to do stand-up.
Yeah.
I did from when I was 18 till probably like in my early 20s at some point. Yeah, like Long Island clubs, some guest spots in New York and a couple of places. Just some fun stuff there. But yeah, listen, they are, they can be, if you've ever seen the program, I think it's on Showtime, called I'm Dying Up Here. Look that one up. Showtime or HBO.
I've seen some documentaries that are always really good. I may have seen that one. I'm not sure by the title.
Number 7, how do you not go? Absolute classic. And I'm not even talking about Antonio Banderas and him ruining the role here, but Zorro. Absolutely one of the classics. Like Zorro, if you don't even know who Zorro is, that's who. And who didn't make the list here, the Dread Pirate Roberts. We talked about him.
How did that not make the list? That was the first one I thought of.
Because he's the same thing as Zorro. Zorro was just the original.
I know, but that was Princess Bride is classic. I can't believe that didn't make the list.
Inigo Montoya kicks his ass any day of the week, except for that one scene.
Except for the one time. All right, number 6. I'm a horror movie lover. We could have gone many different ways, but I'm going to go classic. Friday the 13th and Jason Voorhees. It was between him and Michael Myers, but, Friday the 13th is, I think, a little more iconic. And they finally stopped because they won't stop making Halloween movies. But Jason Voorhees always gets the premarital sex, horny camp counselors. And although you can't... I don't like him for that. I mean, let the kids have their fun. But he was still one of the more iconic movie characters of our time. Even though it was his mom, the first one. That scared the crap out of me, by the way, when I was a kid. Because I was like 8 years old when I saw it. I didn't know they always come back at
You were 8 years old when you saw... Well, I guess, you know what? I was like 8 years old the first time I saw Death Wish.
Yeah,
my babysitter was watching it.
I have an older brother, and he was like really into horror movies, so I watched a bunch of shit before I probably should have. So when the girl was in the boat at the end, I was like, oh my God, I made it. This was the end. And the kid comes out of the woods, screaming through the house. I don't think I slept with the light on for a week. Anyway.
I love it. I had no idea what his last name was. You sent me your list, and I was like, Voorhees? Who the hell is that? Oh, right, because Lark Voorhees was actually the girl who played Lisa Turtle on Saved by the Bell.
Huh, I did not know.
How you like them apples, buddy?
That's a good pull.
All right. Well, go do number 5, because number 5 was all you, and it was a brilliant pull. Brilliant.
I mean, you're more the music guy than me, but I just remember like when that real popular song came out, that Daft Punk, they were just winning every Grammy that year, and I'm like, who the hell are these friggin' robot guys? Because I'm not really, plugged into popular music at all, but I mean, they had quite a career. I'm pretty sure they're done now, but I'm all, what is it? What is their famous? I'm here to get lucky. That's all I remember. But Daft Punk is pretty cool. The shtick that they pulled.
Love it. I love it. I'm just telling our guests that we're just a few minutes late. There you go. All right. Number 4, the ultimate classic, the ultimate masked villain of all time. You know him. You love him. Because admit it, you love him. That scene in Rogue One at the end where he comes out and you just see the lightsaber and you know it's Darth Vader and you hear the breathing. Darth Vader easily comes in at number 4. Could have been number 1 on my list here, but I didn't. I held back. My nerdiness was held back.
I'm into the first 3, chronologically, not the first 3 of the story. The next 3 kind of lost me. I haven't seen all of the last 3 or some of the offshoots. Not the biggest Star Wars fan, but he's iconic for sure, just as much as Jason Voorhees is. My number 3 is...
Wait. Before you give number 3, you've never seen Rogue One?
No.
All right, so Rogue One, see it, because what that leads up to is the beginning of the original Star Wars, A New Hope.
Okay. I will check that out. Now you ruined it for me. I didn't know what was going to happen.
No. Trust me. Trust me. You'll get like, you know what? You'll pop like a little 9-year-old kid boner when that happens. You will. You'll be like you'll see Darth Vader at the end, and you'll just be like.
It's probably still the same size as when I was 9 years old, anyway. But number 3
probably is. Now go number 3.
It's been so many good actors over the time, from Adam West to Michael Keaton to Christian Bale. It's Batman. I don't even know what to say. I mean, I think is it the ultimate comic book character? Is there anyone better? Oh, I mean, listen,
I was always a Marvel than a DC guy, but I mean, if you're talking iconic, I mean, you have to go with Batman, the Caped Crusader. I mean, he was just, and yes, I great nod to Adam West, please. Thank you. I appreciate that. As an old guy, I appreciate that.
As a slightly younger guy, I did see a lot of those shows.
All right, number 2. Listen, this was the ultimate mask, right? You had these 4 Jewish guys from Nassau, Long Island, and they put this band together. And listen, if you ever saw the movie Role Models, you know that it's just these 4 guys who just do music and talks about fucking. And that's it. And I mean, from songs like, Love Gun to Plaster Caster. Shout out to my boy Scott Engel over at Rotoballer, because he's a huge fan as well. Kiss.
The biggest.
That was the ultimate mask right there. When Kiss first took that makeup off and we saw just how ugly these dudes were, because they're ugly, dude.
Yeah,
they are non-attractive group of guys.
No, Gene Simmons is a sideshow character for sure. Long tongue and all, but yeah, my dad was always classic rock, so I grew up on a lot of this stuff, and I remember Smashes, Thrashes, and Hits, I think, was the last Kiss album that I can remember. But I definitely grew up listening to a lot of them. So that was one of yours. That was a good one. I didn't think about that one.
All right, well, here we go. The number one.
The Lone Ranger, another classic, old character. Him and Tonto keeping the frontier safe. I kind of like the Revolting Blob better for number one, but Lone Ranger goes all the way back. I think we lost half our audience on who the Lone Ranger is, because we didn't even get Antonio Banderas did the Zorro over in the 90s. I don't know, the Lone Rangers, I think it was redone in 2000s, but I can't even know that anyone that saw it.
It was it was Armie Hammer and Johnny Depp. Listen, anything
Johnny Depp.
Anything that Johnny Depp is in, my wife forces me into watching. All right, I haven't enjoyed Johnny Depp since 21 Jump Street.
I like a lot of stuff he's always weird, but it's usually pretty good. Yes. Not the Willy Wonka remake. That was just really friggin' weird.
Yeah, that was a little odd. But the Lone Ranger in general, whether you're talking about old school Lone Ranger, new school Lone Ranger, I mean, it's a phenomenal story. It was such a great. I remember the original. When the movie came out. The TV show was before my time even, but when the movie came out, and that was probably at I want to say it was 1980 or 81 is when it came out, and it was good. It was good. So there you have it, folks. The Revolting Blob, Rorschach, Stanley Ipkiss, Zorro, Jason Voorhees, Daft Punk, Darth Vader, Batman, Kiss, and the Lone Ranger, our top 10 best masked characters. So good. So good. All right. So there's our top 10 here. Now, I'd like to bring in our guest today. Again, big thanks to Jeff Mans for a great time last week. Great interview with him. Always nice to hear Jeff's story of how it was. He gave you props. He gave you nods all over the place there.
Yes, he did. I appreciate that. And I made it to the bathroom, by the way, just in case anybody wondered.
Yeah, we kind of figured you did. You didn't wash your hands, though, when you came back.
Definitely
we saw a little something under the nail. In any event, this week, we're going a little off the wall for our guest. That's right. Ryan doesn't really know this guy very well, so I think this is a perfect opportunity for Ryan to get to know him. He is a producer for SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio. He is also a cult icon, I would say. That's right, a cult icon. Welcome in here, everybody, Sandro Anello. What is up, Sandro, man? Thank you so much for joining us here. I know it's a little weird you being on this side of the camera. Well, do you still do Friday Friends with Ani Streeter?
Well, first, thanks for having me, and yes, maybe. Our schedules have changed. While the pandemic has given everyone all the flexibility in the world, it has actually taken away flexibility from Ani and I. So we're evaluating what Friday Friends is and when it will be.
You're reevaluating your friendship?
Yes.
I mean, I feel like it has to be on Friday. What do you mean when it should be? If it's Friends on Friday, does it have to be Friday?
Well, the real issue is Ani wins all his bets and I don't win mine, and I'm sick and tired of admitting that he's always right. So it's more of a me issue than an Ani issue.
Well, perhaps maybe the Sandro Optimizer needs a little bit of a tune-up then?
Yeah, we switched from vegetable oil to olive oil recently, and we're hoping that fixes all the kinks.
All right. So, Sandro, I want to be able to get a chance to kind of get to know you and the audience. I mean, listen, we hear, everybody hears us talk about you guys on air. You chime in every so often. But love to hear your story. Like, first of all, I love your story about how you got to SiriusXM. So why don't we just kind of lead with that one there? And how did you end up working for SiriusXM? What was going on in your life at the time?
Well, first, let's take a sip because this is buzzed, right?
Salud. It is.
It's a nice chilled glass. I had this in the fridge all day. I'm so excited to be here.
Is that like a Beaujolais that you're drinking?
I like the word Beaujolais, so yes. Never heard that before, but sure. You used to be a bartender, so Beaujolais away.
Beaujolais.
My story is not your conventional story, and when people come up to me at like live events and they're like, "Hey, man, I really want to be a fantasy sports radio producer just like you," and then I tell them the things I've done, and then they're like, "No, I'm not doing that." But so I guess we can go back to like July-ish, 2015. I moved into a van, right? I just donated a bunch of stuff. I traded in my Fiat for a van. I built like a bed in the back and I had like suits lined up. And the whole reason why I did that was I was kind of sick of working full-time in television. I was working part-time in radio at the time, but I wanted to be a full-time producer. That was the goal. And everyone I called and got interviewed with, they kind of turned me away. They're like, "You're in a top 10 market. There's no reason to do career suicide by moving to Casper, Wyoming." And I'm like, okay, let me drop this bomb on you. I live in a van. So are you saying that living in a van is better than living in your town? And that's when the PDs of the world, program directors of the world would kind of like say, all right, this guy's a nutcase. So after tons of rejection, I finally said, all right, I need to take a break. And I had talked about walking across the country with some of my friends. And roughly in 2016, after living in a van for about 9 months, my roommates, Phil and Nick, who I went to college with, we agreed to quit our full-time jobs and just ride bicycles across the country. We didn't own bicycles. We didn't ride bicycles before that. We didn't train. We watched YouTube videos. And on the back of my bicycle, I had this sign that said, "Are you hiring a radio producer?" with my Twitter handle on it. And lo and behold, 85 days later, Matt Deutsch calls. Matt Deutsch here, program director of SiriusXM Fantasy. And I interviewed for a job at SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio.
So I don't know if you're going to get this, but I mean, did you live in a van down by the river?
Well,
That's
I live
the first thing.
That's the best thing about living in a van. You just park wherever you want. So there's a few occasions by a river, mainly outside of 24-hour gyms, because that's where I would shower. I still had a full-time job, so I had to show up decent, like shaved and showered. So sometimes I just run into the gym, pretend I was on the treadmill. "Oh, I forgot. I got an early meeting." I'd like to make this big scene. And the manager of the meeting would be like, of the gym would be like, "That guy's always late for meetings." I'd run in the shower, get changed real quick and run out the door, go to work.
So take me through this bike ride thing, because I really haven't had a chance in all this time that I've known you. I really haven't had a chance to ask you like details about this, like favorite towns that you stopped off in. When you sat there, did you like obviously had some camping equipment with you, sleeping under the stars? Like that was really I didn't realize that you did it with two friends of yours. I thought you were solo, which would have been like probably maddening at some point. But like what was like favorite stop off for you, town across the city, across the country?
So I would say St. Louis or Indianapolis and Denver were like the top three, like major cities that were great that I passed through. And but Utah was like eye-opening, because growing up on the East Coast, when you hear about Utah, it's all negative. Like the Mormons, they're going to get you. Don't go out to Utah. The Mormons are going to get you. We had my buddy Spore moved out to Utah because he was a bad kid. His parents sent him to live with his aunt and uncle, and he came back and he was worse. So we were like, here's proof that Utah is not good for you. So I did the trip roughly 5 years ago, and like I started looking through like some of the photos and stuff. If 5 years ago today, I was in Zanesville, Ohio, which I don't remember anything about Zanesville, Ohio, so not memorable. But Utah in general, like, it's so beautiful, and the terrain changes. It was great. Now, Howard, you would appreciate this because 3 stupid guys from New Jersey riding bicycles from the Atlantic Ocean to the Pacific Ocean, they're like, that have never been to California before. We're like, we want to go to sunny, beautiful California. So we decided to go to San Francisco because we thought there were going to be hot chicks in bikinis. And when we got there, it was just junkies, and it was overcast. It was cold. It was miserable. But, that's part of the problem when you don't really plan the trip to its entirety.
I got to agree. I've seen Utah is a place that, as crazy as it sounds, like, it just seems like a cool place to visit. And I've seen pictures that I'm sure don't do justice to what it actually looks like. So I'm with you. It's a place that I don't want to spend a lot of time in Utah, but I want to go and just see it and then get the hell out of there and maybe go to Vegas or whatever, somewhere cool. But as I've grown up a fairly conservative person as far as taking chances and doing things, and I'm having a panic attack listening to your life story. Like, this is the most fantastic thing I've ever heard in my entire life. Like, I would never have had the balls to do this. And for you to come out and get this job and everything and do whatever you're doing now, it just, man, kudos, man. That is like sack of all time to just do what you want to do and go out and see it. Because, man, it's going to be memories that you're going to have for the rest of your life. So that's pretty friggin' awesome.
I appreciate that, Ryan. I think the biggest accomplishment out of the whole trip was returning the bicycle for a full refund in San Francisco. That is my proudest moment. Buying the bicycle in New Jersey and then returning it full refund, using that money to move to the DC metro area and starting what I guess is a career.
So did you guys map any of this out at all? Like, I mean, did you say, all right, I mean, obviously, if you took a northern route, I drove across country, but I did the southern route. I did Route 66 and went in and out of, I think it was like Route 40 or something like that is the one that goes on the south. And you can go in and out and see all of like the touristy stuff from Route 66. You did the northern route. Did you like have specific stops that you wanted to see? Did you have things that you wanted to like check out? I mean, obviously, if you were only as north of as Indianapolis, did you go northern at all? Like, I mean, did you go through like South Dakota? Did you see Mount Rushmore or anything like that?
So for anyone listening to what Howard just said, if you know what directions are, probably makes sense. I have no clue what we were doing. We just had to go west. We did buy these bicycle touring maps to give us like areas that were safe to stay and contacts and like the elevation that we were going to go through, but they didn't kick in till like the second half of the trip. The first third, we kind of just winged it. In Pennsylvania, we followed this route called the S route. And whenever we talked to locals about the S route, they had no clue what we were talking about. So we knew we were in trouble from the start. It rained pretty much every day for the first 2 weeks. So we just knew we had to go west. We did go kind of north. We went New Jersey, Pennsylvania, through Wheeling, West Virginia, to like Dayton, Ohio, Columbus, Ohio, Indianapolis. And then that's when we started to go down south into Illinois to St. Louis. We went to the Arch. And then about, I think, 60 miles south of the Arch is when we hopped onto these routes, which had maps, it's the Trans-American route, which is probably the most popular east to west route. And then we followed it to Pueblo, Colorado, which is where you transition to what's called the Western Express, which when we told people we were taking the Western Express, they're like, and these are like the avid cyclists we met along the way. They're like, oh, Western Express, you guys must be pros. Like, you could die out there. And we're like, oh, we could die out there. Yeah, we didn't know that. They're like 80-mile stretches between amenities. Do you have enough water? And I'm like, I got this chalice with me, or whatever Howard called it before. Like, we were not prepared at all, and we just were like, whatever. We'll just make it to the West Coast. What's the worst that can happen? Little kids ride bicycles.
Yeah, Howard, you can't go sightseeing when you're on a bicycle. You can't go 14, 15, 20 miles out of your way to see Mount Rushmore when you're on a bike. It makes sense when you're in a car, but shit, I would take the most direct route possible.
How do you know? How do you know? You've never done it. You just said you don't have the balls to do something like that.
I'm just saying, I wouldn't be going making extra miles if I'm riding a bike across the country just to see George Washington's fat face on a made out of marble.
Sandro, how awesome did your calves look at the end of that trip?
Secret, AJ Dillon, those aren't his calves, those are mine.
Those are they superimposed. All right, so Matt Deutsch, who you do a very fine impression of. I think everybody who works for SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio does a Matt Deutsch impression. So you start up with there. Were you a fantasy sports guy at all before you jumped into the fray here?
Am I talking to Matt Deutsch in the streets of San Francisco right now, or am I myself?
Like, you're yourself. You're right here. What's up?
I sold it, baby. Oh, I play every fantasy sport. I'm in multiple leagues, basketball, hockey. I was making up sports. I had his head spinning. I'm not sure why he called me, why he hired me. But at the time, I was playing fantasy football, and any other league that I was in, whether it was basketball or hockey, was kind of like a throwaway. Someone just needed, friends. We might not have even put money on leagues. But I was playing football. That was the main sport. Football's king in the fantasy sports world. Was I any good? No. I mean, I was taking Drew Brees in the first round in some of these leagues. I was in a keeper league at the time. I remember during the trip, we were talking a lot about who we were going to keep. And I was so excited that Paxton Lynch was in the draft, I think. I just remember saying Paxton in a lot of the videos we took for no reason. So, I don't know why he hired me. I still don't know why I'm working there.
So you're Taco from the league is what you're telling me.
Kind of. I would say a little bit more of an advanced taco, yes.
There you go. I hope so.
Like a Taco Supreme.
Yes. Yeah.
You got to pay extra for that sour cream sometimes. You definitely do.
And guac.
Oh, always. Guac is always extra. Always extra. All right, so let's get the dirt. Let's get the skinny here, man. Who's your favorite host to work with?
Ooh.
Wow. You know what? For
wrong. The answer's Howard Bender.
I'm sorry.
Jim Bowden.
Lisa's number one. She sent me an Instapot. I can't go against that.
You definitely can't go against that. Absolutely. I'm not going to put you on the spot and ask you to who's the most high maintenance host that you deal with?
Howard Bender.
Well, come on now. That just backfired on me, didn't it?
Yes, immediately.
All right. Sandro, how did the optimizer come into play here? Was this just a matter of, you're listening to the host, giving their picks and listening to how lame some of them are, and you're like, I could do this, and you create your own optimizer?
It wasn't about the hosts. I just needed something to mask my horrible picks, to make it seem like a machine was making them at random instead of just me seeing a depth chart and seeing, oh, Chris Manhertz. I love that name. The guy's going to get 2 touchdowns. Guy has 0 targets all season long, and I think he's going to get 2 touchdowns in week 9. Like, a machine would only come up with that. So, yeah, the optimizer is more of like what I'm also rooting for the underdog. That's why Mike Davis right now, everyone loves him and his quads. He's been in the league for like 90 years, but we just noticed he has legs. And up until this year, like I'll root for the guy. He's an underdog, but now everyone loves him. So he's off. He's not in the optimizer pool anymore.
So you're like Fantasy Sports Radio's ultimate hipster. Like as soon as a guy becomes trendy, you're like, fuck this. I'm out of here. I'm done with this guy. You support. So your favorite White Sox right now is not your mean Mercedes. It's like Danny Mendick.
Oh, just because of the name, yes. Yeah.
Oh my God. Too funny. All right. Well, Sandro, man, I'm glad that you got a chance to join us here. We're actually going to put you on the spot because Ryan and I thought it'd be fun since it is getting buzz. You've got your nice chilled glass with maybe it's a Beaujolais. Who knows?
Is it a drink or is it a cup?
I don't know what it is either.
It's a chilled red wine.
Oh, well, I got a chilled Lemberger. I got this when I was at the Finger Lakes. We just keep bottles laying around. I don't know if you can see.
Well,
Finger Lakes has a lot of good wine.
So this is I thought the cup was a Beaujolais.
No.
A chilled, yeah, sorry.
You were right with chalice. That was a good call there. But Beaujolais is what you're drinking. But it's not. You're drinking something else.
Lemberger, yes.
Either way, it's chilled red wine. Ooh.
You know what? I do that as well. I don't really like room temperature. I'll drink if I'm out and I understand that red wine is supposed to be at room temperature. I'll drink it. But when I'm at home, I prefer it chilled. I like cold drinks.
Anybody who's seen you on the first episode of Getting Buzzed, Ryan, knows that you're not picky about what you drink.
That is very true also.
Well, all right. So Ryan came up with some questions for Never Have I Ever, the ultimate drinking game. I don't know. I haven't played a drinking game in I don't know how many years, but Ryan's going to throw some questions down. Sandro, if you what are the rules here? If we did it, we drink. If we never did it, we drink. What do we just keep drinking?
I think if you did it, you drink is the rules of the game.
Okay.
So,
right, yes.
So since we talked about the first episode of Getting Buzzed, we'll start with gotten blackout drunk and woke up somewhere crazy that you didn't know where you were. Not a surprise at all.
I drank. I couldn't see. Did Sandro drink?
I drank.
Yeah, he did.
All right. I want to hear the story.
It's the only time I ever got like blackout drunk. I was at UDel visiting University of Delaware, visiting some friends in college. And at the time I worked at Edible Arrangements. So I kind of knew the person's place we were going to, but I didn't. So I was like, oh, let me just make an edible arrangement, bring it to his house. I got so drunk that I brought the edible arrangement. I sat down on like this comfy chair and I just remember passing out. I got kicked out like instantly, never saw the guy, but years later ended up being in a baseball league with him because he appreciated that I got him an edible arrangement. So yeah, I just remember going in and out, and my one buddy was just carrying me and threw me in a bush at one point because the cops were coming. And we were underage, of course, so you're not supposed to be drinking. And then I woke up the next day in a dorm room that I've never been in before. I had no clue where I was.
Were you alone?
No, I drove down with a buddy and we met.
No,
up.
I mean when you woke up in the dorm room.
No, I think I woke up next to someone that I kind of knew, but it's a dorm. You don't have a lot of bed space. They were nice enough. They didn't just throw me on the floor. They put me in a bed.
Ah, it's so sweet of them.
Yeah.
I mean,
so
you brought
sweet.
an edible arrangement. The least they could do is get you a bed.
Yeah, right.
All right.
For me, I woke up in a construction dumpster on West 52nd Street in New York City, Manhattan. I woke up because the construction guys, it was like 5:30 in the morning. They were throwing their empty coffee cups into the dumpster, and I got hit in the face with one that was probably about still a third full and just got like the splash of coffee all over me. Woke up, had no idea where I was, popped my head up. The construction guys were like, dude. And I just I just got out of there. There's really, I wish I could tell you what the story was for that night. I was doing a lot of drinking back then. I cleaned up my act a lot from that day before, moving on. But yeah, dude, that was the worst, is waking up in a construction dumpster. No clue how the hell I got there. No clue.
All right, number 2. I believe you're at least considerably younger than we are, so this one is probably a little more towards you than Howard or I is. Broke up with someone over text.
No.
Good.
Me
No, I don't know if I had like someone to break up with when text messaging was a thing. So
I definitely was of age. Like that was the trendy thing to do. All the cool kids were doing it. I had a text message limit and they weren't free until like 9 p.m. And this was one of those relationships I just need to get out of it. So yeah, I did it in person and then I walked home. I'm an idiot. I walked like 5 miles to some stupid arena to play indoor like soccer. Broke up with her after we walked there, and then I had to walk all the way back home. I'm like the whole way regretting, like, why didn't I just do this 4 hours ago?
There you go. Well, live and learn. All right, how about stolen something? I think everybody could probably drink to that. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Candy when I was a little kid. I used to steal it all the time. It used to drive my parents bonkers. They'd be like, how the hell did you get all that? And yeah, that was it. I used to steal candy when I was a kid. Couldn't help myself. It was so good.
Mine was a Ferrari. Me and Nicolas Cage and Angelina Jolie, we got together. We were stealing some sports cars. It was a whole thing, but that was my story.
Yeah, candy, mechanical pencils. I think I stole one of those. Really wanted. Oh no, it was one of those pens that had multiple colors. Like if you slid down the top, like you could have like red, blue.
Oh yeah.
I all in on it. Mom said no, and I was like, the answer was yes.
I'm sure I just brought the audience down with a Gone in 60 Seconds reference, but let's go move on to the last one is...
Well, no, you didn't, because nobody knew what you were talking about except for the other 3 people who saw that movie.
That was the sarcasm, if you didn't pick up on that. I realized after I said it, I'm like, no one saw the fucking movie. And it was probably 25 years ago. But anyway, last one, sex in a public place. Oh, Howard. I mean, you biked around. You biked across the country. I'm sure that was really bringing down the ladies.
I don't remember. This is the problem. And I did live in a van for 9 months, so maybe.
Yeah, bathroom in a bar in New York City. Multiple times.
There you go.
There you go. I'll leave it at that, because my wife's gonna watch and she's gonna be like, I never had sex with you in a public bathroom. And I'm gonna be like, I know you never had sex with me in a public bathroom.
It was a long time ago.
I'm just, you know what? Moving on. That's it. You know what? Game over. Game over, because I'm not getting in trouble here. And I don't want poor Sandro to get in trouble with his roommate, which, by the way, shout out to Sandro's roommate, puts up with an enormous amount. And yes, we'll close it out with cheersing to Sandro's roommate. Thank you so much for joining us, man. Really appreciate it. Love the fact that you are truly a cult icon in the fantasy sports industry. Like somebody said to me that I was famous. I was like, yeah. I'm really I'm big with this nerd niche community here. Sure. So Sandro, cult icon, no doubt about it.
Appreciate it, Howard. Thank you, Ryan. If anyone wants more details about the bike trip, Sandro@dudeandvan.com is my email. Text me 216-532-5122. I don't care. I'm awake all day long. The social media handle, you all know it. And yeah, anytime you guys need someone to drink and play Never Have I Ever late at night, I'm here for you.
And you can get a free sticker out of it too, right?
Oh yes. If you want my face somewhere in your house, just text or DM. Whatever method you want to get in contact with me, and I'll send you a sticker of my face.
I'll definitely be doing that. That was awesome. It was good to get to know you a little bit better. And of course, Twitter, why don't we verify this guy? What's waiting? He's been asking and asking.
Because you know what? That's the thing. If it's cool to be verified now, then he doesn't want it. Now he's going to be like, they give him the blue check mark. You're going to get a message every single day that says, "Dear Twitter, please unverify me."
That is the paradox. And then I'll ask again to be verified. It's going to be a never-ending saga. It's like the never-ending story.
Ooh, there you go. Shout out to all the luck dragons out there. Sandro, Atreyu, Anello, thank you so much for joining us, man. Really appreciate it.
Thanks again, guys.
Big thanks again. Sandro Anello, man, great to have him here. Great to hear the story. I love the bike ride story, man. You had to hear that one, Ryan. You had to hear.
Crazy. I would never think to do that. That is amazing. I love when people do things like that. I never did, so I like to hear that kind of thing. That's awesome.
Yeah, see, something like that, I hear about that, and I'm like, wow, that is amazing. I don't know if I mean, obviously, I'm a fat piece of shit, so biking across country would not be something, but I've driven across country, and I've dealt with all of that. So that was tremendous. But yeah, when Sandro first told me that, I was like, dude, what were you thinking going across country? And so now we know. And you like that segue?
That is a hell of a segue, my friend. That is a hell of a segue. That's why you make the big bucks.
Right? The big buck, just single. It's right. It's time for Getting Buzzed. What were they thinking? What? Huh? What? All right, first, what were they thinking here? Dude, what was Stephen A. Smith thinking when he started talking baseball? The dude knows basketball? Great. I'm fine with that. Okay? And I get the shtick, and I get what he's trying to do, and I get the, whatever. But to sit there and tell Max Kellerman to stop talking about basketball so that Stephen A. Smith can spew nonsense that Shohei Ohtani, with his 14 home runs and his sub-3 ERA, are not MVP worthy. That, to me, that's Stephen A. Smith, who he's in a lane that he doesn't belong in. He needs to shut up. And it's moments like that where you're like, yeah, I get the persona and the shtick, but dude, you sound like an idiot here. What was he thinking?
I mean, it feels like these big network guys are just getting worse and worse. Like, they just keep trying to say things to get clicks, but they're not making any sense. Between him and Bayless and Coward, it's just seems like they just keep saying things to put things on Twitter. Max Kellerman is a moron too, but outside of boxing. But it's just like it's like they're trying to say stuff controversial to get clicks, but they just say the stupidest things. Like, Ohtani, for God's sakes, I mean, he's just doing everything. If he's not an MVP candidate, I don't care if Anaheim's in last place. 14 home runs, and like you said, is pitching his ass off. I mean, this is something we've never seen before.
We've never seen it before, especially in like our day. I mean, listen, we've seen pitchers who can hit. I remember Mike Hampton. That dude could hit, sure, no problem. But it's terrible. It was just such a horrible take, and it again solidifies the fact that ESPN made a mistake firing a ton of people and then keeping a guy like Stephen A. Smith, or not keeping him. You want to keep him, fine. Keep him on basketball. To have a guy like Stephen A. Smith talking about other sports that he clearly doesn't even watch is it's a disaster. It's a joke. Also, in the realm of what were they thinking, did you see AJ Dillon tweeting out the other day? Did you what watermelon squeezing with his thighs? Like, who is he? Mike Davis?
That's the thing. Like, we keep getting these pictures of these football players with their big ass legs, and everybody's like, oh, and like last year it was like, oh, AJ Dillon. So AJ Dillon like vaulted up the draft boards because he had big legs, and he didn't get a carry until like week 15. So I don't know. I guess that's all he has right now. I mean, Aaron Jones re-signed, so I guess he's looking for some attention and some carries. So he squeezed a watermelon between his thighs. We don't have the video. And by the way, didn't even really do a very good job. Like, you can hear it break a little bit, and then it squeezed out. It didn't like break all over the place. So it wasn't even a really good video. So it was kind of stupid.
It was like he was giving birth to the watermelon.
Yeah,
like
it was gross.
It squeezed out like that, which was a complete But then what was up? There were like split watermelons like on the ground yeah. While he was doing it. So are you telling me that like you squeezed and broke 4 watermelons, and the fifth one you had us record it and see it like that? Or I don't even know what it was. But that was it was disturbing to look at. It really, I'm not gonna lie, it was disturbing.
I mean, my fantasy league doesn't give any points for squashed watermelon, so I don't give a shit if you can squash a watermelon between your legs. Score some touchdowns. That's what I want to see videos of. Leave the watermelons alone. 4th of July is coming for my barbecue. I'm all about the watermelon, but this video did me absolutely nothing.
That's the way you do it. That's the way you fantasy football, people. Ryan Hallam, everybody. Ryan freaking Hallam. Well, Ryan, I'd love to keep talking and jibber jabber on more and more, but what?
Last call.
Yeah, it's that sound again there. It is time for last call.
Last call.
All right, my last call rant here. I gotta talk about this. It's something that drives me absolutely freaking bonkers. It really does. All right, first of all, the acronym GOAT, greatest of all time, way overused. So done with it. So bored with it. Can't stand it. It's stupid. We know what else is stupid? Sitting here trying to determine who the GOAT is. Don't give me this LeBron versus Michael Jordan. Don't give me this Sandy Koufax versus Mariano Rivera. Don't give me this Tom Brady versus Joe Montana. All right? The game evolves, and we talked about this earlier in the show. All right? Where baseball refuses to move forward with itself. But the game is different. Players are different. Training is different. A guy who was a dominant player in the 1920s, not necessarily a guy who's going to dominate against the same competition here in 2021. All right? You can talk about baseball with the fact that the mound was lower. The mound was raised more. Guys were throwing, 180 pitches in a game. Pitchers were allowed to do all of that stuff here. You can't sit there and compare a guy from the modern era to a guy who pitched, 100 years ago. Like, that's just, it makes no sense to sit there and try and compare guys from different eras. You can't do it in football. What, are you going to tell me that the dude who, wore a leather helmet and would bust out these 100-yard runs against, weak, slow-ass, old white dudes in competition? Like, it didn't work out like that. And now, how do you sit there and talk about who's the greatest of all time when you have the integration of sports, right? Jackie Robinson breaks the color barrier. You can't sit there and tell me that a guy, now you can't compare a guy now versus a guy in the 1930s. Why? Because the guy in the 1930s wasn't playing against everybody who played the game like you're doing it now. The GOAT debate is stupid. The game has changed ridiculously. Just look at the way athletes treat themselves. Mickey Mantle back in the day, right? That dude would have a six-pack in him before the game started, all right? These guys would sit there and drink and smoke and do whatever they wanted to do. Their bodies weren't a temple. Nowadays, it's a totally different story. So I'm sorry. If you want to sit here and talk about Michael Jordan versus LeBron James, how about Michael Jordan driving to the lane when 7 different arms are grabbing him by the face and pantsing him and stuff like that and pulling him and pushing him and everything, like the kind of shit that doesn't fly in the NBA right now. How do you compare these two? So please, for the love of all that is holy, stop with the GOAT debate. It's stupid. It doesn't even bring you good content, right? Because you can't compare statistics. You can't compare level of competition because it's different time frames. So just stop. Accept the fact that a player is just great right now and move on with it because everything else is dumb. I'm Howard Bender. Thank you so much for watching Getting Buzzed. We'll catch you next time.